This was a cool chapter, and it really got me thinking about the 6 powers, and if I could only choose a couple of them, which ones would be best suited for me and my style.
One Piece, Chapter 352, Tom's Workers.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really Usopp coming out and coming to the realization. I shouldn't say realization, I should say him coming out and actually admitting that he knew the Merry was done for the whole time. So obviously that makes what he did following that and challenging Luffy and everything else, it really just made it his scapegoat, the going Merry being done, and him not accepting it. That was just his scapegoat, I think, for his actions, and a lot of it was because of his lack of self-worth and things like that. So, you know, it's definitely something that I believe that he probably would have, he just used that as an excuse, and he would have tried to find another one if it wasn't, you know, the going Merry, to actually leave the crew. And a lot of it is just because he's got problems up here, and he's got problems in here. He doesn't think enough of himself to actually be with the crew, and doesn't think that he's actually that he's actually worthwhile, that he belongs there, he deserves to be there. And that's just my 2 cents. So that's how the chapter left off, though. Obviously, him and Franky talking, and him, you know, coming out, Franky with that. The end of the chapter, of course, we saw the Fabulous Four over there, the CP9 agents. You know, that we know that they were outside and gonna be knocking on the door. So that's where things left off. That's right where things pick up. And actually, Franky goes, and as he's talking to Usopp, and there's, you know, the bell ringing at the door, he sends his two minions, his square afroed minion chicks, to go over to and get the door. And he's talking to Usopp the whole time, and he's you know, basically telling me, he's like, listen, you know, don't worry about it. Go find your friends and stuff. I'll take care of this. I'll put the boat to rest. You know, I'll dismantle it, take care of it, pull it apart, whatever. And Usopp's like, I didn't ask you to do that for me. So he still resisted. And Franky's like, yeah, but I'm gonna do it for you, brother. I'm gonna do it for him. I'm gonna help you, you know. And Usopp's like, no, you don't understand. And Usopp goes into this whole thing about, you know, you wouldn't tell if you had a friend that was real sick, or that, you know, that was in dire straits. You wouldn't just tell, oh, sorry, too bad, can't do nothing for you, would you? And he tries to explain to him, and I thought this was great from Franky, because he's a character I don't know very well yet, but it was a surprising amount of depth from him. He said, listen, he goes, you don't understand, that ship went, and because of the Klabauterman thing and whatnot, which is actually very cool, I wound up reading up on it, because several people had told me it's actually a real myth, and very interesting stuff, man. I might even do a video on it sometime. But you know, the whole thing about that ship actually taking like human form to come to him and everything else, he goes, you know, how it would be like crushing to a friend if you wound up going and kind of ride or die type of thing, and you or any of the other crew members that it cared so much for, it just couldn't go on, and it wound up at the bottom of the ocean, you know, because of your ignorance, because of your unwillingness to go and let it go. And I really just thought it was neat how he went and he explained. He's like, you don't get it. I mean, this ship has the ultimate amount of respect and love for you and the crew members. If it went and came to you in human form, and it knew that it had just a little bit left in it, and it was going to push it to get you there, you know, but the whole agreement is that, listen, I got no more after that, you know. So it's really just that kind of coming to that understanding, you know. And the other thing I want to bring up real quick over here too, and I don't really care what everybody does as far as thumbs up and thumbs down and everything else. It doesn't bother me anymore. But as far as what the thumbs up and thumbs down is actually meant for, how I consider it, is it doesn't matter if you agree with my opinion or not. You don't have to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You don't have to blindly give me a thumbs up just because you like what I do and you think it's always going to be good. There's days that I'll be off too. The thing that I would appreciate if people gave me a legitimate thumbs up, thumbs down, or no thumb at all, I guess, you know, is based on the video itself. It's based on the amount of work that went into it. Now, if I go and I completely miss a major plot point and I don't talk about it at all, give me a thumbs down, man. Let me know in the comments. Dude, you forgot about that. That shit was important. But for me to go in and give, because in recent videos I've gotten some thumbs down because I didn't agree with the way the fight scenes were portrayed and played out with CP9. And I called some of their moves cheap or overpowered. They are cheap and they are overpowered because at this point, the characters that we're following, the Straw Hats, cannot even get a hit in on them. And with everybody, it's just like, oh, boom, yeah, finger pistol. And it looks as if it's just effortless. And I understand that it's to show and convey the difference in power levels of where they're at right now. And obviously, we know that, yes, Luffy and company are going to have to figure out how to actually get past that, how to actually be able to still fight them. My point was, and I never ever said that it should just be a walk in the park, so I'm tired of all the bullshit comments about that, you know? I mean, I've had comments like, well, you should just stop reading manga. Oh, that's just shonen, that's just this. No, it's not. Yes, coming up against somebody stronger is always something that happens in comic books, in TV shows, and that type of thing, and you have to figure out how to find their weakness, or how to rise to the occasion, or ally yourself with somebody strong enough to beat them, whatever. Those are all plot points, but I never said that I believe that the fight should go and they should just walk over everybody. No, I believe though that when you go and you come into something, and as much as Luffy and Zoro have grown as characters with their strengths and powers, to come upon these characters that were in hiding and then all of a sudden reveal themselves, and have them be so ridiculously overpowered that they can't even get one hit in, that they can't even make a glancing blow, right? With all the strength that you've seen Luffy and Zoro and some of the characters you've seen them go toe-to-toe with and take down, it's unimaginable to think that in a fight that you can't even get, because any fight, even a one-sided beating, the person still flails about and tries to get in a couple of hits. And that's all that I was saying I was not a big fan of, was the fact that it was so skewed and so one-sided that it was almost depressing to watch. I'm not saying at all that Luffy should have been able to beat them with one hand tied behind his back, or that they should have just been handily defeated. I get it. I understand how plot and story progression works. I truly do understand how these things work and how things go and play out, and I look at them a lot more in a lot more depth, whether it's a movie or whether it's a show or whether it's a manga, when I go and I break it down, than many people do. I look at different aspects of it, and just reusing that same plot device in every major saga over and over again about, okay, we're going to go against them on the first time, it's just going to be completely skewed, nobody's going to get hit. To me, that can be unrealistic and it can be repetitive. Alls I was saying, to make sure that I clarify for all of you that are a little bit slow out there and that like to go and throw your comments and your negative, hateful shit out there about, oh, it's a bullshit review, because I gave my opinion. Your opinion doesn't have to jive with mine. It doesn't have to even be remotely similar to mine. I don't want you to. I want you to have your own opinion on things. And if you want to go and discuss that down in the comments, by all means, go ahead and do it. But trying to jump on me and go and put words that were never said to begin with in my mouth, absolutely bullshit. And it's a shame that you have to call out the few, because honestly, if a video gets 1,200 views or 1,000 views, it's usually only a few people that go and piss in the punch bowl for everybody else. But it really is. Some of the comments that I've seen are just flat out small-minded, belittling, and really just stupid. Watch the video, pay attention to what I say, and then comment based on that. You don't agree with me? Fine. Find a more constructive way to do it rather than going, you should just not read manga anymore, or oh what, you just want them to beat everybody right away? No, I don't, and I never said that too. So God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth so you could listen twice as much as the shit that rolls out of your mouth could happen, okay? So let's get that one straight for the next review and the next 200 or 300 past that. And if it continues, I'll continue to go and erase the comments that are belittling or negative, especially towards others. And I don't need anybody kissing my ass either. You don't agree with me? By all means, don't agree with me. Okay? So, now that we've moved past that, the rest of the chapter I thought was pretty good. It wound up the CP9 overpowered agents at this point, because that's what they are. Nobody knows how to beat them, at least any of the characters we've been introduced to. They come in and they burst in, wind up obviously, you know, bursting in and busting up. Kalifa winds up coming in looking all sexy in her little fishnet thigh-high stockings. And she's a good replacement for Robin right now, because we haven't been seeing much of Robin lately. So she comes in, winds up, you know, kicking one of those the squared afro girls in the head, and they're both wind up knocked out or what have you. And the bottom line is that this is Franky's like, oh shit moment, you know, because Franky has no idea. He's like, Blueno from the bar? He's like the secretary from Galila, a couple of the dock workers. He doesn't get it, and they're all dressed all slicked and pimped out in their suits and everything like that, you know, their little CP9 undercover attire, right? And and they look cool and everything, don't get me wrong, but he's just like, this is his like, what? You guys are bad type of moment, you know? So there winds up being an exchange between him and Blueno where he grabs Blueno. Who do you think you're? And Blueno's got him by the face, and then Blueno's about to go and use his finger pistol, or whatever you want to call it in whatever language, I don't give a shit, but it's the thing where they can go and take and, you know, just go and stab you with their finger. It's actually like a, it's like a blast from a pistol, so probably where the name comes from. And anyway, so he winds up going to do that to him, you know, and to Franky. And I don't know if he knows Franky's part cyborg or what. I don't know how much it would affect him. Nobody really seems to die anyway from these type of things, but whatever. Anyway, Lucci winds up going and kicking him, you know, kind of kicking both of them, but really more Franky than anything, and going, "You idiot, we need him alive." So he goes and breaks down to him. He's like, "Listen, we know you're Cutty Flam. We know that 8 years ago you staged your death or whatever. We know that you and Iceberg were cohorts and worked, you know, and worked underneath Tom, the shipbuilder. We know all these things. We know that you have the blueprints. They were given to you, and we were for the battleship Pluton, and we want them. It's as simple as that, you know." So then we go and we get Franky's just like, "Yeah, what about, you know, Iceberg? Is he okay?" And I don't even know why he would ask this of these guys after finding out that they're these despicable human beings. And then Lucci goes, and as if it's supposed to be like this, I don't know, like dramatic moment, he's just like, "No, he's dead." And Franky, of course, gets pissed off about that, tries to attack them again. And he just, you know, he gets the floor wiped with him, is what happens. I mean, he gets beat around the place. They wind up going and finding the blueprint room that he has, or a drafting room, I guess you should call it. And they see the nameplates of Cutty Flam and Iceberg and this Tom, you know. And I don't know why Cutty Flam, he's got two names, but you know, Iceberg is just Iceberg. So I don't know if he thinks he's like Madonna or something like that, you know, as a prince, he's got one name. But anyway, they see these, and you know, basically Franky's like, "Don't desecrate them," and this and that, you know, and he winds up going and bringing up the end of the chapter, winds up being an actual picture of all of them together. And what it is Franky explains about how this the secret warehouse or whatever, maybe it wasn't always secret, I don't know. This is where they were raised. This is where this Tom, I guess, was very much like a father figure to them and raised them. This is where they're raised. This is where they learn their craft. They learn to be shipbuilders. So in that sense, it's a very touching thing, because he's like, "What the hell? These guys are just like stomping all over my memories and destroying and tearing the place up." But the bottom line is they don't care. They work for the world government. They're CP9. They just want they want the battleship blueprint. Simple as that, you know. So all in all, though, a very good chapter. And my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is, and I've gotten some requests for this, too, as opposed to, like, what do you think's going to happen next, because most of you have already read ahead and you know, and then you can't answer because it's a spoiler. More of the choice-type questions, or what would you do if you were in this position. So my chapter question, though, is now having seen CP9, having seen their powers and their mastery over these 6 powers, if you could choose 2 of those 6 powers, not just 1, 2 of those 6 powers, only 2 that you can learn in your lifetime, which 2 do you think would be best suit you, or that you would choose? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and hell, even my other channel.